Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Launch6, and today we're going to be looking at Twitter production comments. So if you are a producer or an aspiring producer, you've probably gone on Twitter and looked at someone's clip and was like, oh, dang, how did you make this sound? Or why does it sound this way? Or how did you make something this cool? And there's usually going to be like 3 to 5 to 10 people in the comments who say 2 steps or like 3 words, like that's the magic formula. So today we're going to be looking at the one that I've seen most frequently. Is tearout really just made with sine waves and convolution reverb? So I have Ableton open here, and I have some groups in here that I was playing around with, but before I get into that, I'm going to see if we can make something from scratch. For the sake of this, I'm just going to be using Operator. Operator's pretty easy, bare bones. I'm not going to get too lost in the sauce of all the effects because all Operator has is oscillators and envelopes. We're going to be pretty safe here using this. So right off the gate, we have just a sine wave, and we're going to try to make like a tearout sound somehow with just sine waves. We're going to turn the envelope really, really short just to keep like a really percussive kind of hit, and add like a 3rd harmonic in here. Then we'll turn up this. It's too short. There we go. Then we'll just keep playing around with that. Maybe give this like a 12. Add some overtones in there to give some harmonic variation. Turn up the tone a little bit, get them some more high-end detail. Get some tone in there. We'll honestly just call it here. Just see what we can get with some convolution. Also, for the sake of this, I'm going to be trying to use as many stock Ableton plugins as much as possible. Sorry, FL users. Let's try grabbing some textures. And we'll turn this to convolution. Turn the decay down. Up the wet. In a sense, it kind of can just be made with sine waves and convolution reverb, but that definition's a little too bare bones. It doesn't really explain what can be done with this or what little extra it takes. Now, on the other hand, we have something that I played around with a little bit off screen, and I'll take this one and I'll even grab the original rack. And what we ended up getting out of this was something reminiscent of the sound we just played with, but a little more in your face. And then another one that I was playing around with, coming from the same rack, just with some parameters changed and a different convolution algorithm. So the difference on what I did here is nothing too spectacular. I changed around with the envelopes, played with the harmonic content, and I added my fat rack, which isn't anything crazy. I have a kilohertz limiter on here, but just a normal limiter would work, and just an OTT and saturator and just an EQ. And then I have a corpus, a frequency shifter, convolution, a version of OTT that my homie Akuma gave to me. I just cranked all the lows down, added a saturator +2, added a disperser. You can achieve the disperser effect with 10 EQ3s if you are broke and don't have disperser. And then I just have a Pro Q3 just cutting off everything at about 170 hertz. Not anything crazy. But yeah, that beefed up the sound a lot. And then I have another operator acting as kind of that tonal high-end bit that's going on, and it's pretty much going under the same processing. It's just a different patch and together. Honestly, this on its own though sounds fine. If you include the sub in it, it sounds perfect on its own, or you can have both of them going on at once. Same thing with the patch up here. The only difference with this is I changed the algorithm a little bit. I added a pitch bend on all of the oscillators, and I changed the convolution algorithm to an already pre-existing bass stab. For an actual proper breakdown, we have the corpus, which is sitting around a D. That gives it more of a resonant ring. So if I turn this off, have this, kind of makes everything resonate instead of like there's a little bit of tone dipping, I guess. Doesn't really follow the pitch as hard. as much as with the corpus on it. Then I have a frequency shifter shifting it down. I liked the tone of the minus 157 hertz on the frequency shifter more than that, which I think is a little obnoxious. I like it. You know, you can change it around too for different timbres and whatnot. And I also added this hybrid reverb or convolution. Without the convolution, sounds like I don't have the dry wet all the way up as well. I only have it on 48% because I want that initial like transient to kind of come through. If I have it, sounds a bit underwater. And, you know, another frequency shifter just in case, you know, you want to play around with the pitch of the convolution as well, which you can type sort of thing. Compressor, saturated, disperser, and an EQ. I will be replacing all of the third-party plugins with stock plugins, and I will make those available on my Patreon for like $5 a month. You get all the samples I create in the videos and all the racks I create in the videos, and $3 a month will just be all the samples, pretty much all my video assets, and that's pretty much it. It's nothing too crazy, but I don't want to charge too much for something that I'm not giving out an obscene amount of things for. But yeah, when we go back to the original sound that we were making, what we can do is take a fat rack, beef it up, and then we can add a saturator after the convolution. And then we could play around with the convolution reverb, find an algorithm that we like. I like playing around with textures personally, unless I'm going to import my own algorithms. Playing around with size will get you different tones as well. So playing around with this isn't too bad of an idea. We can take a shifter and add a frequency shifter in front of this. Just play around with that. That's actually kind of a cool tone. We'll add 2 dB on a soft clip. Kind of beef up the sound a little bit. Mind you, this isn't anything like super crazy or off the wall. I'm just kind of showing what you can do with just the tools that you have at hand. I will add this rack I have called Ghetto Disperser. Basically what it is it's a disperser rack that I made that you can turn on the dry wet by turning on how many EQ3s exist. And then, you know, with it all the way on, you know, just mess around with the order of the plugins and also mess around with frequency high, frequency low, you know, to get different tones. I will be including this in my Patreon as well, so you don't have to make it yourself. It's a bit time consuming. It's not hard, but it is a little time consuming to actually make these. But yeah, you can just play around with that, and I guess we'll load that up with the sub and see what happens. It's not too bad of a sound. But yeah, in that vein, can tearout be made with just sine wave and convolution reverb? Yes and no. It really can't. You can get the base of the sound, but you need to process it afterwards, obviously, and a lot of people don't say that. I'm going to play around with this and see what I can make with just like a tiny little loop with these sounds that we have just created to see if we can actually get something. And yeah, with that, we have... you know, bunch of different guns. It's not that hard. This is a really good fundamental that you can kind of like build off yourself and figure out where you want to go with this. I hope you enjoyed the really scuffed and totally unprepared tutorial that this was, but I hope you all learned something, because in all honesty, filming this, I learned a lot. This is something that I haven't tried myself going into this. Most of the time when I'm trying to like make different sounds, I'm not doing the whole sine wave convolution. I'll try to do like some weird additive synth stuff and some other process. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I actually might start incorporating this process a little bit into my production and see what I can make out of it. But if anybody watches this video and, you know, takes anything from it, please tag me in whatever you make. I would love to see what you accomplish. And if I said anything wrong or went about a process in a not so efficient way, please tell me in the comments. I definitely would love to take a look at it and address it, and, you know, see where I can take my project and my learning experience further, because while I am trying to teach and inform people, I'm also learning from this project as well. But without further ado, I will see y'all next time. Coming up.